as you know, I don't know how you do your taxes, but I have this Willies Media and, of course, the software company that I was placed in hiatus when I started doing activist journalism, and, of course, my personal taxes. And every year, it costs me quite a few dollars to go ahead and get TurboTax. That's what I use. But there are several other programs that people use to their taxes. Well, it costs money. And I always wondered, why should it cost money? Some people can't even use these programs that they pay for. They may actually go get a consultant to help them do their taxes. So given that the government is the one who analyzes what type of income you have, etc., whether you need to pay taxes on it, you would think that the government will have the program that they should give you to tell you how much taxes you owe them. So it's a logical thing. And it's something that shouldn't cost money. It's something that the billionaires, right, Jack? Something the billionaires shouldn't be making money off of. I make money off of you paying your taxes. I always thought that was crazy. A company sprouts up and builds a product, charge you for that product, purportedly to make your life easier to file taxes. And the government saw that that was a problem as well. So they decided to create a program, a free program for people who needed to file their taxes. Very logical. Nothing controversial about that. You think? Well, of course, the billionaires got to the Republicans, and the Republicans said, indirect file on day one, says House Republicans. In other words, they want to tell all of the people who don't use TurboTax because, again, either they can't afford it or, they just want to file their taxes. They say the billionaires told their slaves in Congress, hey, guys, we want to continue making money off the backs of the American people. Stop giving them that program that allows them to file their taxes for free. They need to pay the corporations to file their taxes. We need to make money on them filing their taxes. They want to make a piece of they want to turn every service into something that they can make a buck on. It turns out that this is what they said. In a December 10 letter, the lawmakers contend that direct file, which was piloted in 12 states during the last filing session, presents a conflict of interest for the IRS. I mean, that the things that these guys come up with. The IRS collects your taxes. In order for you to file your taxes, it's a complicated process because how many deductions you have, all that good stuff, right? So the IRS makes it simple by creating a program to make it simple, just like TurboTax thought to create a program to make it simple. Now they're saying it's a conflict of interest by the government for the government to tell you how much you owe. I mean, it's laughable. It is completely laughable. And that they want now to tell, in effect, and this is where Democrats a lot of times fail, okay? Here we have Republicans telling Trump, as soon as he gets into office, to cut the program that allows the IRS to give filers a program to make their taxes easier to file. In other words, the Republicans are saying, let's apply a tax. Let's apply a tax to the American people to pay their taxes. Because when they could do it for free, because again, it's the government collecting your taxes, the Republicans are now saying, no, let them pay to file. Let these corporations that make a bunch of money on each one of you tax filers, let them continue to make the money. I mean, can you see this, folks? Can you understand what's happening here? This has nothing to do with conflict of interest. Nothing to do with conflict of interest. It has everything to do with them telling you that you have to pay to get your complicated taxes done. And now the DOGE, which stands for Department of Government Efficiency, they want to look that up as, hey, that's an expense we can cut from the government. In other words, no, they're not cutting that expense from the government. They're taxing you. So I have a message for Democrats. If the papers were turned by now, there would be ads on air. The Republicans would be running ads on air right now telling you that the government is taxing you to pay your taxes. And you know what I hear from Democrats? Crickets. Do you want to know why failed policy? Why the party with failed policies win? Because you don't have folks out there informing Americans of the predatory nature of the Republican Party and those who support the Republican Party. So people who are in fact Republicans don't realize that their own party is screwing them. Can you see that? Again, the government gives you the free the website so that you can file your taxes free of charge on the website, but they don't want that. They want TurboTax and all these other software companies that sells you something to file your taxes to make it easier. But I have something for them. Here's what they say. It's less efficient. Well, they forget that for TurboTax to automatically file your taxes, they have to have a gateway to the government computers. You know, when you use TurboTax and it says, are you ready to file? And you say yes, it calls up the government computer, transmit all that information to the government computer, and then the government goes ahead, hits computer, fact checks that stuff from TurboTax, and then says, okay, TurboTax, we accept that filing. Here's what TurboTax is telling you. TurboTax is saying it is okay for the government to spend money to create a software interface to work with TurboTax and all these other platforms, instead of saying we don't need to create that gateway. We just have to present it to the people who are the ones actually paying the taxes. We don't need a middle person. We don't need a middleman. We don't need a middle woman. We can actually go directly to the taxpayer and say, taxpayer, fill out these forms to pay your taxes. It is amazing. It is amazing the thievery sanctioned by our Republican legislature, or the thievery attempted by our Republican congressional house. But you know, it is amazing because when I talk about that party having the proclivity to screw its own, again, they are taxing both Republicans and Democrats when they go ahead and say, kill the program and let TurboTax make a whole bunch of money on you, right? So here we go. The second story that I had today, going to show you how corrupt these guys are. The second story is the USPS challenges already being tested. And in this article at the Daily Kos, what is really happening is in order to make the Postal Service more, in their terms, efficient, what they mean is make a profit. They want to go to the least profitable areas of the Postal Service. Okay, folks, you remember when you saw the election and you saw the map? The map looked very red. The map didn't look very red because most people are Republicans. That's not why the map looked very red. The map looked very red because in those red areas, in most of those areas, only a little bit of people live there. So you have if County A looks red, the reality is there are few people in County A. Then you have a little county called Harris County, and it's blue, surrounded by red. In that little Harris County, there are a lot more people than just everything around it. Okay? So what you have is the Republican voter in the aggregate. They are scattered all over the country in small areas. But here's the kicker. The Postal Service charges the same amount to send a letter to Timbuktu, Yoakum, Texas, or next door to Houston, Texas. All right? Same amount of money. So in other words, those of us who live in Houston, Texas, are subsidizing the letters that go to Yoakum, Texas, because it's very small in Yoakum, Texas. And I'm just using Yoakum as an example. It's very small, and, you know, having a complete mail-in program, the truck going out, burning gas, all of that, to service a small amount of people is inherently inefficient. That is inherently inefficient, but we do it. Why? One, the Constitution says we should. But secondly, because again, we want our country to be connected. We want our country to be connected. So we make sure that everybody pays the same amount to send a letter to keep us connected. Of course, we use the internet now, but you get the drift. What does DeJoy and the corrupt folks want to do? All those little post offices in those little towns, they either want to close them or they want to make sure that they don't have to get deliveries every day, or one of these things. In all these rural areas that we're again, it's inefficient to deliver mail. They want to do something about it. But I want to recall something else that we spoke about yesterday. Whereas UPS already doesn't go to these rural areas, FedEx already doesn't go to those rural areas. The United States Postal Service does. And guess who uses the United States Postal Service to deliver their mail to the rural areas, to deliver their packages to the rural areas? The good old post office. That good old post office that people think they should hate because a lot of folks are telling you to hate them. No, no, no. Even UPS uses the United States Post Office to deliver their last few miles on packages in Timbuktu, America. And now they want Doge, Department of, it's not really a department, but of efficiency or whatever the hell they call it. Now they are talking about, hey, now we can cut down the United States Postal Service, get rid of those rural areas. So folks, the people who vote for these people are the ones that they're going to screw themselves. You voted rural America. You voted for people who are talking about, guess what? Making sure your deliveries are not on time, making sure you don't get deliveries every day. So they're taking services away from you. You voted them in. People you didn't care about voting for. They are fighting like hell right now to try to make sure all of you get your mail on time, to make sure you get your services. But the people you voted for look at you and say, it's not efficient to deliver to you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.